So the rack I want to show you today how to put together, well, I had two goals really for this. The first was to find a way of exploring FM tones without the complexity, or at least trying to remove some of the complexity and make it more accessible and more fun to explore. And the second goal I had with this rack was to have it on push, so that again I can have this quick, easy functionality, this access to the sounds without having to dig into the weeds, if you like, of the menus within Operator. Let's have a look how it works and how I put it together and how you can put it together yourselves. So let's have a look at the rack then. As I say, the purpose was just to really have a way of exploring FM, finding new tones without getting caught in the complexities of the topic. And here I've got a little bass line playing. We have effectively 9 controls that allow us to adjust the tone of what's being played. And the rule of thumb is you start on the left, number 1, and then move your way through to number 9, and the tone becomes more complex as you go along. We have an ADSR to shape the tone. Here we've got a bass, you could have pads, whatever you like. We have a filter, resonance, and the ability to morph the filter. Very simple stuff. Okay, so we start at number 1. This one's very simple, just affects the pitch. And then we move along number 2. And now we're, maybe go here, affecting tone. Let's turn the resonance down a little. Turn that up. Now we're affecting tone. Let's go to our third control then. So we have pitch, tone. Let's open this one up. You see it's a volume, so we're going to introduce something new now. You can hear in the background a little bit. Now number 4. And we can see we've introduced a new tone. And if we just stick with these 4, you can see we're modulating things. But it's still remaining musical. It's still remaining musical. We can adjust the level here of the other tone that comes in. And we move on to number 5. Now we're really affecting tone. Oh, excuse me, I had number 9 operating there from the initial patch. Turn that off. So we can play with all of these and find different tones. Always we're trying to stay musical. Things we can use. Okay, let's go to number 6 then. We won't hear so much here. A little bit of effect, but what this is doing is the velocity of the note is affecting the modulation here. So you would hear this if you play, my notes here I believe are all set to the same velocity, but if you have different velocities, this will affect them. But we'll get a little effect from it. And then let's go to number 7. As I say, as you go from left to right, the tone becomes more complex. Let's introduce number 7 again. That's quite nice. And then number 8. And now we can go back through any of these. mix them up as you like. I say we've not touched the ADSR, we're simply playing with this sort of bassy tone. And seeing what we can get out of it. Infinite tones, effectively. And then finally we introduced number 9, which we had on earlier, but we'll reintroduce it. This adds some more complexity. Especially when we play around with the other values again. Okay, that's how it works. So we can introduce the ADSR. Small file filter. Play around at our leisure. Then finally we have, and this is where I put luck in my hands, we have a randomization function. Now I've excluded the ADSR, these are all excluded, simply because I wanted to just define the tone I'm looking for, pad, sort of lead sound or whatever. I define it here, then hit the randomize button and see what comes out, and then just play around. Let's have a go, see what we get. Can't promise it's going to be good, but hopefully it should remain musical. Try again. So it's a very simple rack, you just experiment, and I think now we can show operator. Once you get a tone you like, you just save it here as an operator preset and you've created a new preset. Very simple stuff. Maybe we can see if we can. Oh, I think it's enough. I think it's understood. You set your ADSR here. You can make pads, whatever, and yeah. So this controls the functions going on in here. I've set up operator in a specific way, which I'll come to in the build, and so that we can get something musical from FM. Have some fun with it, especially if you're not sure what is actually going on here with all the modulations and frequencies, etc. Okay, let's have a look then how it's put together. So to begin with, as always, we're going to need a few things. We need the instrument rack here. Just drag that in here. We can click here, get the macros. I've kept my original macro rack, so we'll just open those up until we get all 16. Now we'll need operator, which we can drop in here, and there's some settings we need to make on operator. First one, just click down at the very bottom here. I set this to 8 voices. You can choose how many voices you want yourself. Then for the filter, I had the morph filter on 12 dB, and the LFO I activated as well. We don't need operator D, so you can deactivate that if you like. But let's go through and do some mapping. So for number 1, we have here the coarse frequency of A. So map that there. I'll put a screenshot at the end, as always, of all of these macro settings, so you can hop to the end and just type them in yourself if you want to. Then for number 2 here, we have a few things mapped to these, so just please bear with me, it's quite tricky. I'm working with numbers now. So number 2, we have here operator A waveform. So we just click here, select the waveform. We have that mapped to 2. We have operator B waveform mapped to 2 as well. We have operator C waveform mapped to 2. So those 3 are mapped there. Then to number 3, we have operator B, the output level here. We map that to number 3. Number 4, we have the coarse frequency of B, which is this here. Then we have number 5, we have the algorithm. So we just click to the left of these symbols here and select that box. We have that mapped here. Number 6, we have the oscillator B. So we go back to B again. We have this velocity value here mapped to number 6. Then we have number 7, which is operator C, the output level here. 8 is the course level for operator C here, so we map that. And then 9 has got quite a few things mapped to it. We have the filter envelope amount. Let's just go to our filter here, click on the filter, and then we have the envelope percentage here. We'll map that to number 9 down the bottom here. Should be correct, yeah. Then we also have here the LFO rate. The LFO rate we are mapped to number 9. Then we have also oscillator C. So we need to go back to here to C. We have the attack time here mapped to number 9. Then we have oscillator C feedback, which is also here, this value here. Oscillator C feedback, we have that mapped to number 9. Oscillator B now, we need to go here. We have the envelope attack time here for B, also mapped to number 9. Oscillator B feedback as well here, that's mapped to 9. And finally oscillator A, so we go to A, we have the feedback of oscillator A. So we have the feedback coming here through macro control number 9. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to go to our ADSR. So those are set up, we can go to our ADSR. The attack time for oscillator A mapped here. We also have the filter envelope time, so we need to go to our filter here, click on here, and we have here the attack time of the filter mapped here as well. Then on the decay, we have here the filter decay, so we can map that as well. In fact, we can do the sustain while we're here. We'll do that, we'll map that to the sustain, and we'll map the release as well. That saves us a little bit of time here. So because they're all mapped to those, so those ones we can do. Got to go to A, get our decay time. B, get the decay time. And C, get the decay time. In fact, now we'll go back down and we'll do the sustain here. We'll do the release here for C, and we'll go back down because we need all of these. So we can do the sustain here for B and the release for B. And then finally A, we'll get our sustain and our release here for those. I could have done that in a little bit more of an elegant fashion, but I think it's okay. Our filter we can go to now. We will map the filter frequency here, the filter resonance, and the filter morph. The filter morph over here, we have to click on that, and it's this here, this little icon here. We map that to our filter morph. That allows us to then morph between the filters. All we need to do now is just go through and set these values for our constraints. Now we'll start at the very top again. I set this one here to -1. So this is operator B. I'll just go through them. -2. This one here I set to 80% for the filter envelope sustain level. Set that to 80. Then we have some values here. You have to put in 50,000 here, which gives you 50 seconds. I reduce these a little bit, 40,000 and 30,000. So I had different release times here. Then finally for this one, I This is the filter envelope release time. I set this to 50,000 again, to 50 seconds. Filter resonance, I reduced down to 80%. Then we have the filter morph, which we don't have to adjust. The filter frequency, we don't have to adjust. Oscillator decay time, 60. I changed this one here on B, again to 50,000 to 50 seconds. And this one I set to 30,000 on oscillator C. The purpose being that as we adjust these decay times, we get different envelope shapes for each of the oscillators we have here, which gives us a different tone effectively from the FM. Then we have the filter envelope decay time for D, which I set, actually I left that one at 60, that's fine. Here we go into the attack times. I reduce this to 10,000. So 10 seconds for oscillator A attack time. And for the filter envelope attack time, I left that at 20 seconds. Operator A feedback reduced to 70%. This one also 70%. This one I reduced here, the envelope attack time I reduced down to 8,000, 8 seconds. Oscillator C feedback, 70%. Then we have operator C envelope attack time. This I reduced to 10 seconds, so 10,000. Here we have the LFO rate, which I reduced to 6. So when we move number 9, we just introduced a very small amount of LFO. And then we have here filter envelope amount, which I reduced to 25%. Again on control number 9. So we introduced a small amount of filter envelope when we move this. And then we have number 8, which I set this at 7. I reduced these quite a lot. This is the coarse frequency for the operators. I reduced this down to 7. The level, which I reduced to minus 12 dB for oscillator C output level. This I reduced to 75, minus 75. Here on the algorithm, that I didn't adjust. So number 4, coarse frequency of operator B, also reduced down to 7. Operator B output level, again minus 12. Then we have the waveform here, oscillator A, B, and C. Well, I dropped this one. I made some offsets here. So this one I reduced down to just square D, I believe. Find it again. There. I reduced this to square D. And I made these varied. So this one here I reduced to triangle. And this one here to NOL. So that means when we move this dial here, this macro 2, we never have the same operator waveform on the operator. It's always a little bit different. And then finally here, number 1 operator A coarse frequency. I actually reduced this down to 4. This is very low. And I think the LFO I had here, destination A, I reduced this to 25%. And destination B, I set to the oscillator feedback here, left that at 100%. I also, on the filter here, I set the shaper to soft and I gave it about 2 decibels worth of drive. Let's just come out of there. I've kept my original snapshots here, so we'll set that back to, we'll try number 9 here. And we'll introduce this again, see if everything works okay. Have a bit of a mix up. Filter works. Okay, seems like everything's working okay. As I say, I excluded these 4 here, ADSR, from the macro randomization. That's my choice. You could leave them randomized if you wanted to. Let's see what we can get. Okay, as I say, as always, hope this has been useful to somebody. They can make use of it, have some fun. See you in the next one, I guess. Take care.